No, there's more coming,
Welcome
too.
to the October 2nd, 2019 regular Conservation Commission meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent.
Yeah, I didn't get it on this sheet, but it does have to be posted, so it's been posted, so.
Okay. First on the agenda was 6:30, 310 Putnam Hill Road, and Mr. Hill had to continue because his plans were not in on time.
Make a motion to continue to October 16th at 7:30.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Oh, hi, Zach. Come on in.
Steve, no.
Sorry for being late.
That's okay.
No problem.
All right. Why don't we go right down to board business because we got a ways. Joyce, you want to describe the diesel spill at 39 Gilmore Drive?
Well, I got the call and I went down there and Solitude was there pumping things out. And there was an issue.
Clean Harbors.
Hmm?
Clean Harbors, right?
Clean Harbors, whatever.
Yeah.
Wrong one. But anyway, they were there. And then another guy was coming to see if it went down into the wetlands. And so I went to look for him, and in the meantime, he had gone into the building to look for plans. So we had an issue because there were no current plans, and they actually have an addition on the building that we have no plans for, and they never applied for. So finally, I came back and got plans from Jen Hager, because they had gone through planning, they just had never filed for conservation for that addition and stuff. And that did have and there was expansion of the parking lot they had never filed for before the addition. So again, the plans were in her office, so I went back with them, and they had pumped out a couple of those basins, and the one in the expansion of the parking lot that we didn't have either. So I took some pictures and I sent them out to people. Unfortunately, Brandon can't get pictures from me on his computer without going through a whole bunch of things, but I don't know if the rest of you got them.
I did.
The gentleman went back out and tested the water that was in the detention pond, and he said he was going to send a report to Wanda on if they had found anything in there. If it was less than 15, it was okay. If it was greater than 15, it was going to be an issue.
Did he send it, Wanda, or?
I did send it to you all.
Well, there was something from the fire department, but that's
Yeah,
not the
we
thing.
get the fire
It
department
was-
report.
Yeah, that was the first one, then I sent the second one.
I don't remember
Second
seeing
one
it.
was from them.
Can you just give us a synopsis of it? Was it clear? Was it okay, or?
No idea. It
Um,
was a little confusing.
I'm
to read.
sure that we would have heard something
They
if
had numbers
it
and
was
stuff all
more.
over.
Okay.
He wasn't expecting it to. He said
Yeah.
he had the person with him smell it to see if he smells anything, and he thought he did, but he said they were going back to the lab and test it. So I think that's, if we would have heard something, if it was more severe. The issue that I think we need to look into is the fact that they never filed for the expansion of the parking lot and the addition on the building, which are actually closer to the wetlands than the original building, which was filed for.
Is the site stable and everything? Is there any construction going on currently?
No, but I did drive down, and in a couple of those pictures that I showed you of Primentals,
Mhm.
so it's a very steep slope there, and there is a little bit of erosion control at the bottom, but it's not stabilized yet, so I don't know what the rain would have done, so I don't know.
Is that from that project, or was that from the power project?
It's from no, it's from Primentals.
Oh,
So
oh,
take a
okay.
drive down there and
Okay.
take a look. So that may be an issue of things coming down that slope, because it was all bare dirt.
Mhm.
You said they filed with the planning board? Is there a site plan with the planning board? How they manage the stormwater management and the,
There, I don't know. It was, let me think, 2003 was the original one. It was 2014 was the addition, and I think the parking lot expansion was 2007, but I may have those dates a little bit wrong. I should have written them down. Do you remember, Wanda, what those words were? But the original filing was 203, I'm certain of that.
I think there was one in 2010, or was it 2008?
I'm thinking there was the expansion of the parking lot was,
Not too long
Not to
ago.
interrupt, but I think what Mike's getting at is, did it pass through planning or in zoning or wherever and not come up through us?
yes, yes.
It did. So it's hard to hold them accountable because we should get a routing slip when anybody files
Yes,
something like
but
that.
it's
People,
still,
people don't necessarily know which, you know.
but they still should file to have it on the record, so we have a record of those plans. And it's the law,
much better, I mean, we're going back years and years and years.
but
I'm
it's the
sure
law.
not that things wouldn't get missed going forward, but I think we all have seen a huge difference and hope something, especially as big as a commercial project.
Mhm.
Jen reaches out to us, it seems like we see projects lately,
Mhm.
so I don't think this would happen again. I think the thing we might be able to ask him to do is come in and explain why there's open exposed dirt.
Yeah, I think
We
that's
can have a
great.
Well, that's
small discussion
Primentals,
about-
that's
That's
not
different.
Ross Express. Ross Express is the one that had 2 projects that never filed with us, not Primentals.
Oh.
So,
So
that's-
Ross's project is complete and it's,
yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, like, if we saw an issue today on something out back that far, I mean, we could ask them to come in, but if there's no issues, it went through planning board, I'm not disagreeing, but if we start going back 10 years,
It's the law, Mike,
what, that we have to make them come back and file?
that they haven't filed, yes.
Oh, you mean
And
under the
because-
state regulations that anything that we discover, no matter how long it is? When you say it's the law, is that what we're quoting?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't
And
disagree.
and the fact that we don't have a copy of those plans, so here was this oil spill
Yep,
in the expanded parking lot, and we didn't have any information on where the catch basins were. So we at least need that, I
so
mean,
we could ask them to come in and provide a plan, and, is that what you get at?
and do a filing, I don't know,
Does
I
the
don't,
planning board have it already?
what do you think? Yeah, they do,
Well, let's finish no,
Is that the right spot?
I can't see that from here.
I'll turn the TV a little.
it's 07 for the parking lot, that's,
This is a photograph from 13, so I don't know when this alleged parking lot went up. Expansion.
The expansion, I can get the dates for you for tomorrow, but we should have the information on, where the drains are and things like that, that go right into the detention pond on that side. There's what, 3 or 4 detention ponds on the other side?
So-
does the parking lot look like that currently or is it bigger? Or is
It's
the-
bigger.
And the building's bigger?
Yeah,
And that was 2013?
Well, so this tells me this is 39 Gilmore Drive, so I'm presuming this is the right spot, right? So then I have the option to go through years and years of aerial photography. In 2001, the site looked like that. Right, and then in 2005, voila.
and they filed with conservation, and they,
and they got an order of conditions and everything.
All right, and then the most recent photographs the state has available online is 2013, which is that, and it does not look like it had changed an iota from 2005. That's 2005,
What number Gilmore is it, Brandon?
39,
39, that's 2013.
which is not posted on the outside.
So I don't really see,
Oh, that's a fire department no-no.
there's a little something, like a little path that they created right here that looks like it's new, but otherwise, it looks the same. So, if there's a parking lot extension,
It's to the north. And it's something that we need to look into at the very least, but I know you couldn't open the
That's it.
pictures I sent you,
yeah, they're still on my computer.
so,
Anything online?
I got Google Earth and this is dated 17 and
She sent me.
it's hard to tell, maybe a little bit, yeah, I think this is bigger here.
Yeah, it might be going back towards the tree.
Yeah, is the wetland in the back of the building?
it's on the west side.
Yeah, the wetlands, it looks like it's like
I don't
just
think it's
inside
any
the tree
different.
line here.
No.
Going past the building, it's almost to the dirt, I mean, if it is, it's not much bigger.
Well, there's a big yellow, if you've got the pictures on there that I sent you, there's this
It's
big
called
yellow,
Ross Express.
there's this big yellow thing pictures that I sent.
Mm-hmm.
There's this big yellow thing, and that's where the spill occurred. Evidently, they have a company that comes in and fuels the trucks,
Yeah, and that's what
and
leaks.
it spilled. So The gentleman that was gonna have the thing tested said he was gonna look into finding out exactly how the spill happened, cause I asked the Ross Express people how it happened, and they didn't know. They didn't know if the thing going into the truck didn't shut off, or what happened. But I would suggest somebody take a ride down there and take a look.
I'll drive through too.
Yeah, I'll drive through tomorrow too. And then if there was
So,
definitely,
yeah, I'm on Google Maps. I don't know what year the photograph's from, but,
mine said 16, I don't know how accurate that is though.
yeah, I don't know, I don't even know how to figure that out.
You know what's funny is I can't find your pictures now.
It's hard to tell.
Okay. All right, well, we'll take a ride down there, put our own eyes on it. If it definitely is an issue, we'll have to call them in. I mean,
Again,
we at least need to talk
05,
about it.
13, I don't see anything different.
Okay.
So,
There is an addition, and they did file for planning board for that, and they did file to planning board for the expansion of the parking
Where's the
lot.
addition to the west?
Yes,
back of it, let me do it quick.
it extends it out.
Let me,
Oh, yeah, can you pull up next door, Brandon, and see if you got a shot of that building? Prime Metals?
Well, no, they're in the process of constructing that.
He's been down
Yeah,
there.
he photographed it prior.
well, Prime Metals,
That's not the next building.
Oh, it's not?
yeah, Prime Metals
Oh, it's two of 'em.
is way up
Okay.
here.
That's on the very end.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
But I had
6, 7,
driven
8,
down
9
that
properties away.
road to see if I could find this guy who was,
Mhm.
I was looking for. So then I saw that, and that's why I took the
Mhm.
picture of all this bare
Mhm.
dirt.
Prime Metals is that
Yellow.
yellow box.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, so what we'll do is we'll all take a ride down there individually, and
Okay.
if they need to come in, we'll have them come in.
Why don't we check with Jen for a plan, just to see
We'll get a date on the plan,
Let
yeah.
Andy know
what she has for the most
you
current
guys
plan for
find
that
and he
site?
can let me
Well,
know.
I'll come up tomorrow and check the dates on
'Cause at
those.
the very least, like you said, if you had it in the file for
Yep.
that,
Let me just write myself a
We'll get
note.
it for
I'll
planning.
send her an email.
it'll help us when we have a discussion if we needed to have them come in, because
Yeah.
we would have the most current. Planning board has a pretty
Plan
extensive plan, like they'll have.
timeline for 39 Gilmore. Okay, all right. The next thing is the minutes for August 21st.
Make a
6:40.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of August 21st, 2019.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, sorry about that, I didn't mean to. They continued, 6:40 continued, I believe, right?
Oh, sorry.
Make a motion to continue 188 and 199 Mendon Road to October 16th at 7 PM.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And that went out up till 6:50 on the next one.
Okay, Bill made the motion,
Yes,
and who seconded?
Mike.
Oh, no, wait.
put Mike down.
Oh, Joyce did.
You didn't waive the hearing,
We did.
Yes,
I did.
waived both hearings. Waived both hearings, 6:30 and 6:40, because they continued.
All right. So we got the
Who
deed.
did the second on the waiving of the,
I did the second of that one.
just gets a little confusing.
I have a couple more things that are not on the agenda, but
What's that?
I have a couple of more things to bring up, but if you wanna finish out the board business, go right ahead.
Yeah, and then I think we'll,
Still gotta wait 4 minutes for.
yeah, right. All right, so we got the minutes. Extend the order conditions for 68.5 Wilderness Drive, Joseph DeLiso.
All right, let me check that out.
Did they ask for an extension?
Wait a minute, where are you?
I feel
They
we
must
already-
have.
I feel like we already did this.
No,
We did one down there, but I don't remember the address.
Oh, we
Where are you?
Extend order of conditions for 68.5 Wilderness Drive.
that's the project out on the lake where they have that little strip that goes down to the lake that they wanted to,
Oh, is it the one with the house that had the tree growing through it? The
No.
little
No.
boathouse?
there's no house there. But they wanted to, it's very narrow, it's right next to a house that had, and there's a stream that goes down to the lake, and they wanted to put in a shed or something years ago.
Request,
All right, I'll read this aloud.
Where is the-
Perfect. This is dated September 24th, 10:29 p.m. Dear Wanda, I'm writing to request an extension to complete project under order conditions, Mass DEP file number 303-0826. Completed to date. After things finally dried out this summer, we were able to complete the removal of dead trees, the drainage work, install the yard drain and riprap, repair the disturbed area, stabilize with mat and seed. To be completed, the planting of the 11 replacement trees originally scheduled for September. After checking the area nurseries, we found little to no availability of native species of suitable size and quality. This type is stocked in the spring. I request an extension to allow the planting of trees this coming spring when supplies are available. We can't get equipment down there too early as it stays wet, so please allow sufficient time to cover weather contingencies. Thank you, Joe. That makes sense to me.
Yes, it's a very wet.
I
Here
could
you
have sworn I did this last spring. I can't believe it was 3 years ago. I
Time
really-
flies when you're having fun,
I
Brandon.
really can't. You have one inconvenient fact here. When was that request dated?
September 24th.
Order expired on September 7th.
So we can't
I
extend it.
don't wanna be the bad guy, but that's the date.
Alright, so I have a question. Can we, and I don't know, can we close out this and put it on record that he still has to plant the trees and not have to have an order?
Is that the only thing left?
That's what he says. I mean, nobody's done an inspection, but
You know what?
that's what this says.
Okay.
Isn't that a bylaw? Instead of a state regulation?
That's a bylaw, not a state regulation, right?
What?
The trees were required under the bylaw.
Under the bylaw, right?
But just instead of reopening everything.
Yeah, we don't wanna make this guy pay for all the filing and
He
everything.
sent it in writing that he's doing it.
Right.
All right. In order not to give him too hard a time, because you technically can't renew it, because we're past the date, that wouldn't be kosher and legal. But you could withhold a certificate of compliance until the trees are planted.
That sounds good.
That sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Just tell them, hey, it's expired, the only thing you have left to do is put the trees in, you just won't be able to get a certificate of compliance until the trees are put in.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
So then I will motion to withhold the certificate of compliance until the trees are planted
Yep, on 68.5 Wilderness.
on 68.5 Wilderness Drive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And we'll have to deny.
Who did the second?
Yes.
Well,
Bill did the
I did.
second.
yeah, you
I know.
So should through the chair, should a letter just go out explaining that there's no need to renew the order because we can't renew it because
We
it's been
can't
expired.
renew the order.
But
Yeah, you can't extend it.
Yeah,
let him know that this is in his best benefit, it's better for him,
right.
that he's all set, and he just can't get a certificate of compliance till the trees are planted.
I think that's his easiest way out.
Okay, so we have to deny this, right?
We have to make a motion.
Well, actually,
Well, I don't think
we're not
it's not
denying
even
it,
a
we
denial,
can't.
it's just,
And
It's
already
expired.
passed, it's already expired, and
Okay.
you just
Yeah.
write that letter saying,
It's expired.
it's already expired.
All right, should I write anything on this paper or just leave it be?
Yeah, you can write it on the back if you want.
Right
and
on
then
the
I'll-
back?
On the one that you have in your hand.
Oh, okay.
I think you'll
Put it on the back
appreciate
and I'll
this,
put
that
Yeah.
we're not even asking he's better off.
It's a
No,
simple
question.
Yeah.
Should we set a time limit for the denial or just leave it open-ended?
Well, it's
Well-
not really a denial.
He's gonna
Or-
want this off his,
Yeah,
you gotta remember, everything goes back to your deed. This is
He's
on
an
his
attorney
deed.
too, so he'll want it done right.
Yeah, he's gonna want this off the deed.
Okay.
So he has a lien.
So even if it's a year or two, I'm sure the end date will be.
18 COC. Okay. All right. Here's that one. All right, and then we're
Right on time.
right on time. 650 is 39 West Sutton Road. Come on up.
That's a new one, so you need to read it in.
Perfect. The Sutton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 4th, 2019 at 6:50 PM at Sutton Town Hall, 4 Uxbridge Road, Sutton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to review a request for determination of applicability submitted to the Conservation Commission by Lynn Olson, Sutton, Mass. The project consists of a 10 by 20 proposed deck on the back of the house on map 8, parcels 23 and 39 West Sutton Road, Sutton, Mass. This notice is publicized in accordance with the provisions of General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, commonly known as the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. All right, Okay, I think we got everything we need here. So, can you explain your project?
Yes, I'm looking to put on a simple deck, 20 by 10,
Okay.
with approximately 3 footers, which will be hand dug.
Yep.
No equipment brought in or anything. And the deck, my calculations will be 36 feet from the deck to the water.
Yep, 36 and 46. Okay.
I thought it was a
700.
73 feet.
What kind of material are you building the deck out of? Just a wood deck or a plastic?
It's gonna be PT,
Mhm.
but then I think, what am I gonna, AZAC decking?
AZAC, yeah, that's good stuff.
PT frame.
Sure, yep.
AZAC decking.
Okay.
The simple.
Hand dug, no equipment?
Hand dug, no equipment at all, just a shovel.
What's where the deck is now, just lawn or?
Excuse
Or
me.
with
Lawn,
it's
there's
just
no deck
grass,
now.
so it's just gonna be a deck over grass?
Right.
Easy.
Does anybody have any comments on this project?
Nice plan.
That is a good plan. Brandon, do you have any comments on this project?
The only thing that the commission has done in the past with decks where, it's going over lawn and because of the shading, the grass might die and then you have basically open dirt. The commission has asked for crushed stone underneath.
That's okay.
Smart.
That's fine.
Can I have just a comment? Can it be?
You have to state your name and
Oh, I'm
address.
sorry. I'm just a friend who helps with a lot of her projects. My name's Lee Carmen. I live on the lake also. And like I have a deck on my house on the lake that extends about 8 feet out and the grass lives under it. You know,
Oh,
so
how high up is it?
1 story.
Oh, that's pretty high.
And hers is hers is gonna be a full story up.
That's right, this deck does.
So if there's shade close to the house, maybe 3 or 4 feet out, I can see putting crushed stone, but I think it would look horrible that crushed stone out 10 feet, where grass will probably grow for at least half of that.
Why don't we just word it that if the grass does
If the
die,
grass isn't,
yeah,
'cause I think
then,
grass is fat.
yeah, I don't wanna have to order you to do the whole area, yeah, right. Does that make sense to everybody?
Perfect.
Make a motion to issue a negative determination for 39 West Sutton Road and keep the grass underneath. If the grass dies, add some fresh stone.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You wanna close
Set.
the public hearing?
Oh,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Very excited. It was a nice plan.
That was a great plan. You could teach the engineers some lessons that from there.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Thanks.
Mike, you could hire her.
Simple is better sometimes, huh?
It's exactly the way. All right, to the left. All right. Signatures. We got a couple of minutes. Oh, no, we don't. This next one is, no, yes, we do. It's 7 o'clock. This next one, Mike actually went out on. It's, the complaint 184 Manchog Road, covering the benchmark at 182 Manchog Road. Can you explain what you found there, Mike?
So I went out, and the neighbor that had called, her boyfriend was out. I talked with him, and he showed me exactly what it was, so it made it easy. And at the end of pouring the foundation, the pump truck cleaned out, and it was like right on the property line, and they covered it. So I called the contractor, and he went out the next day, and I go by every day. They cleaned it all up real nice. He was
So
very
more-
apologetic.
More of
He's-
an accident than anything? you
Yeah,
think?
just
Okay.
a misunderstanding, and they cleaned it up right away, and I think that we're all set down there.
Is anybody from the audience here on that one? No? Okay.
That's one where they're pouring they get the foundation that goes,
We finally got it in.
that's.
We've been working that all summer, that's been,
That's a tough.
that's
that's
one
Is
I've
that
seen.
the lot that?
I've done a
goes
few, and that's the toughest one I've seen.
Yeah.
I get some recent pictures of
22
that.
foot high wall.
Yeah,
Board?
I have some
Board.
recent pictures
That's
of
a
that.
lot of concrete.
They had to do it in sections, and they've done a really nice job. They keep it neat as if, no, they,
Yeah.
I commend them on that one.
Excellent.
Oh, you wanna see this?
Sure.
Oh, why is it not in
I
there?
got a picture from the water, like with all the dirt, like this straight up, like,
Yeah.
they'd have plastic on it so it didn't erode.
I guess I don't have it, anyway.
They worked really
Got
hard.
a nice stone fascia on it too.
Yep.
I think from the water
Yeah,
side.
it looks really pretty.
Yeah.
Saw it too
Oh,
then.
this
Yeah.
one's for you.
We rented a house years ago on Quinsigamon on Bridle Path in Worcester, and it actually had 2 basements.
Did you give me two?
Same, that's how steep the cliff was. It was pretty neat.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
it's-
about
I
this
think two of the-
enforcement order?
They did?
What's that?
Woodbury?
Oh, to to Woodburyville Heights. Did you hear anything from Woodburyville Heights, Wanda, at all? I don't know whether to just take this off the agenda or
Oh,
what else can we do?
start finding them.
I'd hate to find people. It's not like they're doing anything wrong. We're just trying to get them closed out.
Don't know what to do.
Well, we need to talk to somebody,
Yeah,
get
I wish they
somebody
would just
from-
come in.
I
Yeah.
know.
Send a letter and tell them to
Is
come in.
there a condo association there?
Yeah.
It's
It's
gotta be a
not-
president, but it's,
It's not in the corporation's
Site.
database, though, so I don't, I looked all over to who to send it to.
Is that the plan?
I sent it to the same person and
the only
That's
thought,
exactly
are there any
what I
units for
was
sale there?
thinking.
Cause a
Oh,
realtor
oh.
might know. I'll do a little digging.
That's not a bad idea, yeah, see if there's something for sale.
Yeah, I'll do a little digging.
Okay.
But other than that, I would,
Yeah, I mean, we're not making any progress. I'd just like to see these old ones get closed out, that's all.
and we cannot issue any more partials until this is done, then we don't have to issue any.
Well,
People are
maybe
buying
that's when
it.
it's gonna happen, was if somebody comes
Well,
in
that's what we'll have to do.
We've
No more.
already refused some.
and they still sell.
It is an enforceable thing if you do not file for a certificate of compliance after 3 years. So that's why, we could have,
this
we
is an
sent
old
them
one,
out.
right?
Yeah, well, this is
Yeah.
old, yeah.
And so, this is extremely old. And that's why Wanda was sending letters out for the people that are way back. We were trying to go back a year at a time and close
How
some
about
of
if
these
she
out.
sent the letter that had to be signed for that would come back to
I
us
did
before?
that.
You did, and it
Oh,
came
they-
back.
they
Did it come
signed?
back or did they sign for it?
They signed for it.
So they
Who
did
signed
sign
for
for
Yeah,
it.
whose side?
Well, these are good things, these are things that we should be
So the person
understanding.
who signed needs to,
Then we have an accountability at least.
Yeah.
So if we did that, let's see that.
No, I think it's in the office.
Cause if we do wanna
But
close
if they
out
don't
these,
come
sometimes.
in, then we can start finding them.
Yeah, but if we have a specific person, instead of
I'll
sending
have
a
to
letter
look.
and somebody could maybe talk to
someone
them.
might
And
know
they
who
will
it
come
is.
in.
Or someone might know and just say, hey, come on,
Okay, I've got the
we
green,
wanna find
so
you.
apparently they
We want you to
didn't-
just
they
close it
didn't
out.
pick it up.
They didn't pick it up. Okay.
So, maybe we haven't notified the right person.
That's what I'm getting-
So if
that's
Billy
what-
wanted to
That's
look
what I'm
into
thinking
something, maybe
too.
just.
Maybe I'll just knock on a door down there, this weekend or something and see,
It went
Most
to
people I like to
19
think like to do the right
Miller
thing.
It went-
Way, number 16.
19 Miller's Way, number 16.
Well, that's good information. There we go.
Yeah, there we
You
go.
want
You did a
copy
certified
of the
Problem
letter,
solving.
came back,
Okay.
so we
As I
wouldn't be able to
said-
find anybody, cause there isn't anybody that's even been
The
notified.
first one I sent, certified through our machine, the second one I sent green card certified.
So what is this Woodburyville Heights, it's not it's a whole project?
Yeah, it's a big
the
condo
whole
development.
And
subdivision.
supposedly, this person is the builder, or is this
No,
the,
this person is supposed to be the president
of the association?
Yeah,
It's supposed to be.
but I don't have a name. It's just condo trust. 19 Miller's Way, number 16.
Alright.
that
If
could've
you
changed.
want,
That
after
could've
the meeting,
changed,
I can
yeah.
get you
Right,
the letter
that's-
and then you can
that-
take the letter with you.
Things change, and
Okay.
we just gotta make sure we try to, would the assessor, where's the tax bill go for the common land? Is there, if there's an
I have no idea.
association, is there any tax bills for the common area?
I have no idea. I think it
Well,
goes to
there's
each
another way we
individual
could
person.
find out who's responsible for the, cause this is probably a common area now
Is it?
issue, right? Cause
Yeah.
if they're condos, they don't own
Well,
outside the
tax
building,
bill
it's the
probably
association.
goes to each individual person who owns, these are condos.
Right, but the common areas, sometimes
Have a
tax bill that goes to the association,
Mhm.
and it's part of your fee that you pay every month.
Mhm.
I don't know, I mean, maybe that land isn't taxable, but Town's pretty good at collecting taxes.
Might have been before they had common areas in the condos, you know, it's an older condo area.
So there might not even be an association of common
Yeah,
areas
yeah,
and no
you
fees?
might be right, there might not
Well, I
be
just,
set up like that.
you know, we gotta figure those things out if we
All right.
wanna try to.
Well, let's move on to 7 o'clock, which is gonna be 23 Marsh Road. Anybody here for 23 Marsh?
I'm from 25 Marsh Road. My name's Robert Fink.
Okay. Is anybody here to represent their project at 23 Marsh Road? All right, we're gonna
So
have
you're
to,
in a butter then?
I'm a butter, yes.
okay,
As Travis Brown.
we're gonna have to table this.
Not here.
Travis Brown told me that he or his, there's someone else,
Would be
you know, he
here.
said,
Somebody's running up the stairs, hold on.
Yeah.
Andrews?
Excellent,
You're on.
You're on.
you're on.
Good
Come on-
timing.
Come on up.
We're just gonna continue it.
All right, and this next one is 7 o'clock, 23 Marsh Road. The Sutton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 2nd at 7 o'clock PM at the Sutton Town Hall, 4 Uxbridge Road, Sutton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to review a notice of intent submitted to the Conservation Commission by Wayne Mong, Sutton, Mass. The project consists of repairing the existing failed sewage disposal system with associated grading and landscaping on map 8, parcels 13, 23 Marsh Road, Sutton, Mass. This notice is publicized in accordance with the provisions of General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, commonly known as the Wetlands Protection Act and the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Welcome.
There's.
Do we have a plan?
Is there a letter with a note on it, on the bottom?
Yep, I'll read this in, yep. Do we have, are you new at Andrews? Have you been in with us before?
Sorry, I have not been here.
Okay.
I've been in Andrews for about a year and a half.
Okay, do we have a copy of your resume on file?
You do not.
All right, when you get a second, can you send one in to us?
You also need your name.
Kristen LeBray.
Did we get, yep, you got the abutters notifications, if you could give those to Wanda, that'd be great. All the fees are paid, Wanda, it's checked off, so we're good there. No DEP number yet on that?
Nope.
Okay, and do you have applications with other boards for this? Is it gone through Board of Health yet?
It's still going through Board of Health.
All right, so it's pending. Nothing with planning or the ZBA, right?
No.
Okay. All right, and I'm just gonna read this,
Kristen,
Yes.
can you spell your name, because this is your first time?
Kristen.
Yep.
Last name LABRIE.
Thank you.
I have a letter here, from 21 Marsh Road, which I'm guessing is a direct abutter. To Conservation Commissioners, since we will unavoidably be out of town for your October 2nd, 2019 meeting, we are writing to inquire about several aspects of the proposed new septic system. All of these concerns relate to ensuring the new design minimizes potential impact to Lake Singletary water quality. Number one, what are the most critical state and local regulations for locating a septic field on property located along Lake Singletary, besides distance from the 50-foot wetlands buffer? Does the proposed design meet all these requirements? Why would the commission approve a design that intentionally reduces the current soil absorption area by 25% from the current system? What is the rationale for this change from the original design? What alternative, number three, what alternative locations and designs were considered that located the system farther from the water, and why were they rejected? Number four, what consideration in the design is being given to better managing stormwater runoff from Marsh Road onto Lake Singletary? Number five, what does the following answer to the several questions on page 3, section 2 of the notice of intent mean? And does this answer adequately address each of these questions? 25% reduction in system size to accommodate soil absorption system. I would appreciate if each of our concerns could be addressed during your October 2nd meeting and made part of the public record. And this is signed Steve and Marty Winchell, 21 Marsh Road. So anyway, now that that's read in,
Do we have another plan?
do you have some more plans for us?
Plan, just one?
No, I don't think I brought any.
Well, with the
You
process
can use
work,
mine.
we should have one.
You can use this. I've got a, I believe I have a digital
I can't see that
copy in
far.
here.
Yeah, right, I getcha. All right, go ahead, you're on.
Okay, so what we have is just septic repair, Singletary, you can see Singletary Lakes here. The blue is highlighted the 50 and 100 foot well radiuses
Mhm.
from the existing
wells on this property, and the one on their own property. And the pink is the 50-foot wetland buffer, orange is a 100-foot, buffer from the lake. So what we have is the existing house and the proposed system, with the pump chamber going into the proposed field.
Okay. And what type of system is this? Is this a conventional septic?
No, it is the chambers.
It is
It's an
chambers.
alternative.
Okay.
Is it Caltech?
Yes, I believe Caltech, or, no, they're the infiltrator quick bore.
Quick four.
Brandon, in your opinion, would this be the reason for the 25% reduction in system size to accommodate soil absorption system? Because it's
Most
Caltech
likely
unit?
using an innovative and alternative technology, am I right?
Yeah, the 25% reduction was to allow, less disturbance to the existing site, which more disturbance would potentially impact the lake. So it was to reduce how much disturbance is actually being done.
Okay.
And this quick four, that you're allowed a 25% field size reduction by using this technology?
By using the technology in the footprint does get smaller without asking
Without
for
even-
it, yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm just gonna go through these real quick. Have you had a chance to review this plan? correct?
Absolutely, and I've
Okay.
gone to the site, Mr. Chairman. I have site pictures. That's the well right there.
Okay.
By the road, and it's gonna go on the right side of the house here, entirely within lawn, this area right here.
Okay.
So,
So no cutting trees or anything?
no,
Now, to answer number one, what are the most critical state and local regulations for locating a septic field on a property located along Lake Singletary, besides the distance from the 50-foot wetlands buffer? 50 feet is the Board of Health, correct?
It's also Title V.
it's also
State, yeah,
Title
that's
V,
Title
right?
V state.
So, in the Wetlands Protection Act, a soil absorption system that is at least 50 feet away from a wetland resource area is presumed to protect the public interest stated in the Wetlands Protection Act.
Okay.
And that's associated with Title V. Under the bylaw, you have a 200-foot Great Pond restriction area, so it's the commission's pleasure. So it's your call.
Okay. Is there any other place you could locate this within Title V?
So, no, anywhere up here would be within the well radius. Also, groundwater is only 5 feet.
Okay.
So, to put it over here would be within the 50-foot buffer. To put it over here would be in well radiuses. This is about the only place you can put it on this lot.
Okay.
It's a very constrained lot.
You have a lot of
May I interrupt with a
well
question?
radii.
Could you just hold it until
Yes, I
after we,
can.
yeah, I'll ask the audience as soon as we're done, I just wanna run through this.
Where's the existing?
It's in the same spot.
Oh, it's in the same spot. Oh, okay.
All right, and we already answered the thing about the 25% smaller, what's the rationale, we have that. The alternative locations, we don't have any because we're within wells and
Yeah, it wouldn't
inside the
meet-
50
It wouldn't
feet.
meet Title V, because it has to be 50 feet away from surface water for Title V.
Do you have,
How about the well radii? The existing well I see here is 74.1 feet away, is what the line says.
Yeah, where it is because of groundwater. If we move
Right,
it higher.
And the well at 25 Marsh Road, you're 61.7 feet away from that.
Yes,
So it's kinda tight.
it is tight, but if we move it farther, we'd actually be above the top concrete, which we can't do either. So, because of groundwater, we're kinda stuck where it's placed, which is why it's there now. But it is outside of the 50-foot well radius for everything. That variance is being requested through the Board of Health for proximity to the
Now,
wells.
normally for new construction, they're pretty strict about 100 feet with the well.
Yeah.
But because this is a repair, what is there, like, you can't go any closer, line,
I'd say 50 feet.
50 feet?
That's not verbally from them. In experience, it's usually 50 feet.
And what's your closest distance to a well?
The 61.7.
Okay.
And that's also, you can't go within 50 feet, and we can't get a waiver for, groundwater, any closer because of the wells. Cause the closer we get to groundwater, the more sustainable it is to affect the wells. So they wouldn't be approved. So we wanted to keep that groundwater separation.
Number 4 is, what consideration in the design is being given to better managing stormwater runoff from Marsh Road into Lake Singletary?
Filing for the replacement of a failed septic system, it's within the existing lawn, so there really is no change of cover.
So there's no change of
Stormwater.
topography or stormwater, okay. So there's no change.
Well, there
Slight
there's gonna
change
be
of topography, but
right.
not slight change, there is no change to ground cover.
And what is your proposed, plan for keeping sediment from getting into the lake?
During construction, there is an erosion control barrier proposed, that goes from, it's this, you go up to the corner. It's that thick dashed line is the erosion control barrier.
And is this what you're proposing here?
Yes,
So what is that?
that's a straw wattle with a stake.
12-inch, 100% biodegradable.
Yes,
Does the commission think that's gonna be enough on the slope?
Absolutely not. Should be a black silt fence as well, right? That's the most important barrier of all.
Okay,
black silt.
Yeah. And like Mike's big on it, not only does it help
I'd
with
rather
the
see
blowout,
the-
but it also is the limit of work as well.
How steep is this grade going down?
3-to-1, I believe.
Well, no, from behind, like, so if we had a heavy rain, you're in the middle of construction, how much water's gonna reach this?
Oh,
Looks
the
like
the
the
existing grade is flatter than the proposed
So what
grade.
we've asked in the past, if we wanna talk about it, black silt fence as a minimum. When we see slopes that are greater than flat, we ask for both. We have even asked for straw hay bales, because if you were to get a heavy volume of water, that's what would really back up the silt fence, so we kinda say at your discretion.
The,
The wattles do float, I've seen it. before.
Wattles don't really do
well,
anything.
if it's the mulch-filled socks, those don't float, those are real heavy. They are the best.
If you install
They
your
are
black silt
compost
fence
socks.
correct, and it's backed up with a straw hay bale, and there's a heavy slope, that's really the only thing in
Straw
30 years of
bale.
building,
It's
straw
about,
bale.
the existing's about 1-to-6, proposed is 1-to-3. So that's just.
We can do it
taking-
as a condition,
That's it, yeah, that's just taking a rough sales of it.
I'd be fine with that.
So black silt fence alone
And I think that
No, not alone.
with
With the wattle.
With the wattle.
Yeah,
Biodegradable
wattle
with
and
the,
wattle.
with the wattle that we
Filled
have,
with-
Wattle in
the
front.
100%
So what-
biodegradable.
Right,
No,
but what
no plastic mesh.
100% biodegradable.
Yeah, that's what we have spec'd out.
It's just you gotta really narrow with a lot of volume of water.
Yeah, if you had a downpour or something, we just wanna keep the lake in.
Yeah,
pristine
they are,
condition.
again, it is failed, so they are trying to get this done before
Understandable.
the winter season, so it would be a quick turnaround.
When did you apply for your DEP number? You-
That was sent in,
Just a suggestion to stay on them, they've been very, very slow, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah, we went one that went I had one that went 3 meetings.
So this is a shame then, because if they're trying to fix a new, what'd you say, we shouldn't have a DEP number?
Unless it's up tonight,
We have to
man.
continue it plus an appeal period, and you get
Yeah.
into Thanksgiving, they don't, they
Usually-
get to a point where they don't issue septic
Oh.
permits.
Yeah.
It's at the
Especially if the wet-
discretion of the,
I have one more green slip it fill out.
is there any way you could do something like this as a, I'm just
I'll
asking,
look.
cause these are things that need to
You
get
need the
fixed.
green
Not that
folder.
we have to do it by the procedure, I'm not trying to.
Sewage into the lake is
Well,
not a happy
you're running
thing.
out of a season, you're gonna
Right.
go all the way to the spring, and
Right.
I agree.
they have an
Just
approved
call
title.
DEP.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
That
has,
would have to be
it
through-
has a number.
Oh, it has a
Oh,
number,
it has
we
a
got
number.
it, we got it, look at that.
There you go.
They all have numbers.
Alright, what is it, 303
0914.
0914.
That must
Good
have
job,
come
man.
in.
Do we have to continue, if,
No.
we don't have to continue.
Let's-
No,
it.
we're trying to find a way not to. Go with it.
I thought we had to continue.
We want septic fist.
Before another board.
Well, that's what I was
No,
reading,
it-
on this, so.
Oh, no,
No,
okay.
Just as a condition of
They're
approval.
through, you're
not
approved.
you.
We're not approved by the Board of Health.
I'm sure that Mr. Winchell will wanna speak.
Yep, we're gonna
I
let
have
Mr. Winchell-
one
Winchell speak.
other
Okay.
point.
So I know you wanna speak, but we're just gonna let Brandon go and then the board members and then you're next.
As with any time you see a project on the lake, and we are allowed to go down, and I always see a dock that doesn't have a permit from, whenever, and I would like to give the, through the chair, the opportunity to let the applicant put it on the plan so it can be permitted and quote-unquote legal.
I have no problem with that.
Agree.
Easily do that.
Anything else, Brandon?
Nope.
Mike,
That
do you have
was
anything
really
else?
my only question.
Just, this is one step away from a tight tank, it looks like.
Yeah.
Like that, no, I mean, I don't think they have any choice, they got the mill barrier, yeah,
It's
every
a tight site.
yeah. No
Bill,
questions.
anything on this?
No, I always love seeing an upgrade, especially on the lake. So.
Joyce, do you have anything?
Just if the, dock meets our criteria for being, you know, in the middle and all that, is where it is now.
It's hard to do that if it's pre-existing, though. That would be more on a new permit thing.
Yeah,
Well, yes,
it would
but
be
the-
grandfathered in, and then we can bring it up to compliance with reflectors.
Well, yes, it needs to have reflectors on it, and so if they're gonna put it on the dock, put it on the plan, it should kind of
How
meet
big's the dock now, Brandon?
The dock, if I just go off of this, it's
31.6.
Well,
Ish.
again, this isn't perfect, it could be probably closer to 30 to 35. Then you have this little side one here, going another 15, 16 feet.
I think floating around, that's on the land, though.
Well, I have pictures here
Do you?
of stuff here. Yeah, let me go through, see if I can find it. Yeah, oh, yeah. So,
No, it is over water.
yeah, I think this is a little different, so it's like, you got this double thing going on.
Mhm.
Here's the thing is that, as it is now, and it looks like it fits very well into the configuration of the retaining wall, probably isn't going to meet the, well, if that's the spot, then it probably is, cause you're gonna be 25 feet away from the property line.
So we have the jut out, we could actually measure it, on the plan, we have the existing jut out of the wall.
Oh,
So we could,
yeah, could you measure that real quick?
just from the property line?
Yeah.
You want it from that inside
Do you need a
corner?
scale?
Just got
Oh, you have that?
Oh, we're very, very
Yeah, we
efficient.
try to be efficient.
I was like, I have a 1:40 scale, but I've written it in. From that jut out, it's about 10 feet.
From the western property corner line? Right there?
Oh, you're
Yeah, from the corner,
50.
then you're good. So, I think it would be in their best interest to show that dock on the plan and have it be one less issue they would have to deal with in the future. And they could say they got a permit for this, yes, they did.
You can do that, no problem, right?
Yep, we've got the dock added on.
Anybody else on the board? Sir, could you just state your name and address?
Yeah, my name is Robert Fink, I live at 25 Marsh Road.
Okay.
You can see my dock there, but it's on shore.
Mhm.
Is that is it an issue if it's one that's put in the spring and taken out in the fall?
Nope.
Okay, I mean, you're talking about docks, right? I don't
There's-
have a
we
permit
have a
for my
dock
dock.
policy that states they're supposed to be 25, as centered as they can be, or 25 feet away from the property line with a maximum square footage of, 300 square feet, yeah.
All right, well,
Reflectors at the corners at the
So
end,
if it's not, we don't have to talk about it.
so nobody
It
looks
needs to
into
be
it.
on a plan so we know it's there.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, people have had them forever. And as applications come in, the commission has been encouraging people to put them on the plan and then just make them official.
Just makes sense, it keeps it so we know.
Keeps
what's
things
going on.
clean.
Right.
okay. Got you. Some questions, but I have, one is is the plan, it looks to me like it was, I looked at the plans, it's entirely outside, the septic system is entirely outside the 50-foot buffer. So you're not within 50 feet of the lake anywhere.
Yes.
Of course, you are within 100 feet, that's,
Yes, but the 50 feet is to
or
the total
200
buffer.
feet, but that's, this whole lot.
They're stuck between the lake and the well and this,
Well, and I had a question about the well, and the reason is that, for my property, the septic is by the road, and the well is down towards the lake. Is there any reason why you couldn't have the septic back towards the road, and the well down by the lake, closer to the lake?
that is a double-edged sword. Number one, you'd have to have the applicant drill a new well and then move the septic system up.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this commission really have the will to make people do that kind of expense, but even more so, a lot of these houses, when they were originally built back in between the twenties and, up, they put all the septic systems down by the lake because it was all gravity fed, made it easier, and all
Yes.
the wells are up by the road. So unless you do them all at once, you're gonna have well to leach field distance problems.
Well, except in this case, that's what we already have.
Yeah, but what about the other neighbor, he's saying?
Well, the other neighbor would be Steve Winchell, his is
His septic
not,
sand.
is towards the,
His well.
if you're
That's
facing the lake,
neighbor.
it's on the north side,
These
to
are
the left,
two
is where the
neighbors.
septic field is.
His
His
well.
is the same as this property, where the septic is down by the
There's
lake,
100
and
feet.
it's up on the
His,
street.
this
He's
well
got
must,
more
so
space
his existing
further
well's
away
here,
from the
yeah.
lake.
The lot's
So what he's
also, I
saying
think, a
is,
little
I
bit
mean, he
bigger.
Yeah,
does
much
have a
bigger.
Yeah.
point. If this was flip-flop,
Which
and they had to
is
drill
not
a new well
Wayne's
with
fault at all,
$10,000.
but
No.
I mean, it's a
No.
small lot, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, to
I
ask-
understand,
to
yeah.
ask the-
And where this meets
for
all
them
the
to rebuild
criteria
the
of
wells.
repair, and we're guaranteed that it doesn't do anything to the lake, it's hard pressed to
Okay,
say
so
it's
basically you're saying
gonna-
it's not practical.
Yeah.
In most cases, I have yet to see a practical, because a lot of these houses have been here before the Wetlands
If I may,
Protection Act.
that's a very good analogy, cause as I just looked, you're right, like, you can see the 3 wells and
Right, I didn't see the
It's
copy of
just-
the plan, you were right there.
Title V has ensured us that this septic isn't have any impact on the lake, or they wouldn't allow it. They'd make them put a tight tank in? No, I agree, but
It'd be cheaper for him, he's only got a 220 gallon, septic that he's putting in.
Yeah.
That's his choice, I mean, I don't mean to sit here and say, I want him to do X, Y, or Z, that's really not what I'm
What's the size of his tank?
500.
And by the way, it isn't just the
It's only
Winchells
better.
and me, but you go one more to Jenny Field's house, the next one also has the septic in the back, and the well is, I assume somewhere in the front, I've never looked at her well, but I know where her septic is. It's obvious because it's got big cement walls around it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that was that question. Now the 25% reduction is because you're able to do it because of the innovative technology, right? And is this a good thing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's less disturbance.
Less
So the more disturbance, the more possible effect it could have on the lake, so the smaller footprint.
When you say disturbance while it's being constructed or after it's been
The
constructed?
footprint of it, so the footprint would have to be bigger, which could lead it to going outside of the existing lawn, closer to the wells, closer to the lake. So the bigger the footprint, that big, where it gets bigger has to go somewhere, so it'd either be close to the lake, close to the property line, which would be your well, the other their own well.
Okay, so it basically is a feature, not a bug. I mean,
Yeah.
Steve's letter sort of suggested that it looked like a bug, to him. I mean, but he's not he's an engineer, but he's not an engineer in this area. Okay.
I have a question. I know that you reduced it by 25%. Through this particular technology, is there better treatment of the effluent than, say, a standardized system?
We found that it is the same, it meets Title V, so Title V they have a list of approved chambers that they've tested and that meet Title V requirements, that it does treat the effluent. Whether it's better or not, it's either it.
It's not like it's a nitrogen reducing system
No.
or anything like
I
that?
don't believe so.
Okay, no,
I'm not well versed
So,
in the.
the big thing
course,
is that
but-
you've been able to reduce your footprint, and have less overall land disturbance and keep it further away from the well, the property line, the lake.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else, sir?
No, I think you've answered all my questions.
Okay. Anybody else from the audience? Alright, so,
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Actually, through the chair, I have one question. They're still before the Board of Health, so do we have to continue this, right? Or are you still before the?
Sometimes the Board of Health waits on our
Yeah.
approval for a system placement.
Okay.
If it was
I guess if
planning
it-
board, I'd think differently, but but for single-family house septic repair, I wouldn't.
They're taking the chance if they have to change the design.
It's
They're
their
taking-
chance if
Their
they-
chance that if they have to change the design, they have to come back and refile.
Well, in the past, we always conditioned it, pending
Pending
their
approval.
approval.
Okay.
We can do that, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, if anything was modified through the Board of Health, we would just resubmit it back as a modification.
Perfect.
Make a motion to issue an order of conditions pending Board of Health approval and including adding a dock onto the plan for 23 Marsh Road.
Silt fence and straw wattles.
Oh, and adding the silt fence, straw wattles are already on there, right? Yeah.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Oh, who seconded?
Joyce.
All right, so we got add dock, silt fence and straw wattles, and what was the third thing?
Board of Health.
Board of Health
Board of
approval.
Health
Yeah.
approval.
Please send me a revised plan within 21 days with showing the dock, and preferably a detail for silt fence.
You need 2 plans.
Two
Just
physical
cause she's
and,
new, maybe we should just, I know it's on the order of conditions from construction
No,
company,
mine-
Brandon.
Mhm.
I would just so she tells her
Okay.
client, cause that is
Yeah,
a good step to a project.
And make sure with this, you,
Just 'cause she was
schedule,
new.
schedule a pre-construction meeting with us before they start.
Well, if they get
It's
all
on the
that
order of
with the
conditions,
order of
but she's new and
Travis will guide me.
Travis,
Okay, all right,
okay.
yeah, right.
No,
How
you've
about
done a
that?
great
No,
job.
you did a great job, yeah.
Travis
Great
will,
point for
Travis
the-
will guide me through.
It's important for the applicants just to reach out and schedule
Travis
that,
got the
'cause
night
it'll-
off, huh?
It'll get a good
Me
start
too.
to the project.
Travis actually had to go to another meeting.
Oh, ours is better.
Well, you'll get to see him in 2 weeks too.
You did a great
Straw
job,
wattle
thank you.
Well,
And,
you get to see, I'm not done. I'm your next item.
Oh, you are?
Excellent. You're here all night.
So you're saying we got 2 in a row?
The beverage
So we're
card.
going to 23 Marsh Road,
The
right?
the
Yes.
beverage card.
Have a
is-
good night,
is
sir.
made.
Thank you for coming.
And I actually do have I have a request if we could do that in between for next week.
Yep,
So
well done.
I actually have a conflict. I have to be here in Millbury.
For the next meeting?
Two week-
For your next meeting. I'm have to be here for Talcott. But I also have a meeting in Millbury. I was wondering if you could either push me to the end.
We'll table you
That's-
to the
that's-
end.
That's the Bob Murphy way of doing things. He usually starts in Middlebury and then comes over here.
Okay, so like,
We start at 6:30, I think they start at 7.
they do start at 7.
Do we have anything 6 on
Is it
our
a-
agenda left?
Yeah. It's at 6:40. And I believe it's already been
All right.
sent in.
What time would you
We
want
can
to
always
hold
be
it?
tabled.
I have to go, I'm gonna go to Millbury tomorrow morning and talk to Ann Swanson there to see if I can get the very beginning of their agenda, which would be 7:05, I believe. I don't believe it would take, it's another, it's on, it's just on a lake, so it's on, under
So,
a pond, so.
through the chair, would it work that if she's not here on time, that we just table it to the end of the
Yeah,
end of the
and I
meeting?
would- Yeah, and I
And
would.
We'll leave it as is, and if you're not here, we'll table you till the end of the meeting.
That
Okay.
work?
All right.
Yes, that
Okay.
works beautifully.
Oh, I have one more question for you, Kristen.
Signatures.
Contingent on the Board of Health approval,
Oh, yeah, we
when's
need a
next
copy of the
meeting?
plan.
Board of Health.
You got a copy of the plan to sign.
Yeah.
Is that stamped?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
21
number
piece.
1 on it.
No, I don't
Good
believe
call.
Okay,
I hope
Good job,
not,
Bill.
at least.
I'm sure it's gonna be fine.
It is, yeah, I opened those windows when I came in. This morning it was brutal.
So that is, I don't know what the address is, but I know it's Talcott, is the
Zach,
applicant.
did you sign this?
No.
Is it Marsh Road?
17, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, Wanda, that plan goes, oh, is this the new one or the old? No, this is the.
17 Marsh Road?
Yes.
So
This is
that's
the
like
new one.
right next door to the one you're doing right now?
Yes, it is.
Or 2 hours, 2 away.
It's
3 away.
weeks away.
But
That's
that's
not
not
for
till
Sutton.
next week.
Yes, we signed it, we
That's on
signed
the
that
next
plan, but
meeting.
it's the
That's the
old
one
one,
that
so
I
we'll
had
have to wait, we'll have to sign a new one.
Okay, with the dock,
She
yeah.
sends it in, we'll bring it
We'll
to the
re-sign
next
it, yeah.
meeting.
And remember, when you open up your candy, do it under the table.
Or the candy man will come. All right, we're gonna, move on to 7:10 PM, which is 125 Singletary Ave. John Maderos, Andrews Survey.
Make a motion to waive the reading of 125 Singletary Ave.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Welcome back.
welcome back.
This, I believe, is just order conditions?
Yeah, Brandon, this project was completed without anything, so.
This was the most highly irregular situation that I've encountered in my 21 years of doing this.
So we just wanna get this done, we wanna get this pushed through, we have
So I have
everything
an
paid.
as-built.
What's the final revision date on that?
8/21.
I have one of 9/4.
Oh, nope. Maybe the wrong one then.
Do you have a copy of that one, Brandon, that we could have?
Hold on. That's the, no, so what's that? That's
So-
the as-built?
We're gonna do
No,
an
that's the
order of
septic.
condition,
I have
that's
September.
Sewage
and then an
disposal
as-built.
system repair
think we're
as
gonna-
built.
Just do an order.
Order
Sheet 1 of
conditions.
And then you have to go through what
I'll
you
have
have to
With,
do.
with existing
This
conditions.
is what
and
John
close it
Maderas
out.
brought in.
It's
Not
done,
now, right?
it's done. Project is completely 100% done, grass is growing,
Oh,
it's done, Brandon's gonna
this one is
explain,
the
but.
right, but there's an
Required
appeal
survey, and
period,
that is
and
the
you issue an order of
Yeah,
conditions.
Proposed
And then
grades.
there's
No, it
a,
doesn't.
Or actually,
we've done a
existing grades.
final,
Existing grades.
everything's perfect, cause
No,
when I drive by, I see a
So,
whole hill of
I-
dirt.
Yeah, yeah, that
I'm
I
just-
don't,
I mean-
that I don't know, but is, he, the,
So. we have-
John Maderos
Let him-
told me the
Usually
project is done.
what's been s-
So we
drawn.
should have to record.
He's
You
no
have to
longer
go through all
working.
the process.
He's no
He's
longer
no
working.
Yeah, John
Right.
Mears is no longer with Andrews.
Okay,
He's now with
So
Margaret
I
Bacon.
apologize for the confusion of,
That's what I heard,
Plans,
that is
that's-
true, is,
Margaret told me herself.
okay.
okay.
So the plan that Kristen just brought in isn't quite the one that is
That
up
one
to date. It's this one right here with a final revision date of September 4, and it shows, this is basically an as-built that he completed the project while the NOI process was going on. So it's done,
Should be fine.
right? Which,
I think there's 2 sheets.
you know, I've been there since then, seen it all. It's in line with what the commission wanted. So, I'm putting my hands up in the air.
Is it stable?
It is, yeah, there's grass growing. I wouldn't say that you have 75% coverage at this point, it's not ready for a COC, but
So this is just for the order.
the project is done.
it's for the order, and then we could also submit the as-built at the same time.
Right, this is
Well,
the,
there's an appeal period, like Mike just
But
said,
yeah,
right?
but it's,
You could still submit it and just,
yeah, and then just wait to hand it to you, but it is unfortunately.
Yeah, but we don't require a plan anymore for your certificate of compliance. All it requires a letter from the engineer saying it's been substantially completed,
correct.
which
And-
triggers a site visit, which makes us all assured that it's done and everything's stable, and then we issue a certificate of compliance.
But at the same time, we don't even have an order of conditions on this yet.
so I'm gonna make a motion to issue an order of conditions
Let's start with that, that's all I was saying.
for 125 Singletary Ave.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Did you close the public
Closing
hearing?
the
No.
public
I'm
hearing.
forgetting, I'm gonna make a motion, well, this has been open for,
Yeah, I know,
Years.
yeah.
Since June,
I'm so,
beginning of
joking.
June.
I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing for 125 Singletary Ave.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye. I'm gonna make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 125 Singletary Ave.
Are there any conditions?
Yeah, order of
Just that he
conditions.
follows the normal like
What's
Well, it's done, so an
Right,
order of
so
conditions
you go
pending.
your appeal period.
Appeal period, right?
you do the process, file your,
It's a messed up
your
one.
thing,
All-
and we'll,
All those in favor on that? Did we vote on that? The order of
There was a
conditions?
motion by Bill, I didn't hear a second.
I did.
Okay.
Mike did know.
Anybody opposed?
Alright, so,
So the appeal period starts the day I mail it out of this building.
Okay.
Whatever the normal
We're
process.
gonna sign the.
This is nothing different.
If someone
It's nothing
appealed
different,
and
it's
this
just
went to
backwards, it's-
EP would pull a nutty.
Yeah, they
Well,
wouldn't
I
know
mean,
what
they
it
We don't
should.
make the process.
They're-
Yeah.
They're so busy.
I know.
so you
So
might
did
as
we
well.
vote to approve this? You just said anybody opposed, but did you say all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
So through the chair, then we're saying for Andrews or an engineer to send a letter saying it's substantially complete.
Yeah.
After 21 days, if it is, we can do a
Or during the
certificate.
21 days, yeah. Or send the letter during the 21 days.
Can send the letter, but we cannot close out
Right.
for 21.
Right.
So I would-
So are you gonna,
So-
we need a letter from you that says that this is done this way?
Yeah, the CO, the COC.
For a
letter.
For a
That we-
COC.
Yeah.
And
that
you,
we do.
you're not gonna make the next meeting, so it'll be the meeting after, and then we could vote on it. I think we should all probably stop up there and do a site visit, so we can all put our eyeballs on it.
Just to say we all
Separately,
saw it too.
just to say we saw it. I know that we've all had different interactions with Mr. Romeo, that this will not happen again.
I I just think that this is normal process.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
approved it,
Mhm.
and then the appeal period's over, he can do his thing,
It's just backwards, that's all.
Completely.
nothing we can do about that.
Right.
I mean, I think we're letting the guy off too easy, but.
They're,
Is that
it is,
signed?
it is a
Brandon said he had a
violation.
point blank conversation with him, we
Yeah.
had him come in,
Right,
we
we-
all talked to
we
him,
all
we have
talked
to
to
leave
him.
it at that,
Right.
that's, you don't, now it's the process,
Right.
this is the process.
This is the
and we're gonna
process.
go through it,
And
we're
it
gonna
all
follow
went
the
well.
rules.
Right. We're
Nothing
gonna follow our
nothing bad
bylaw
happened,
and.
so.
That's
state law.
it.
Right. Zach, did you sign that?
Yeah.
Okay. Wanda, that's all set. You're all set.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So, do you need any more copies of that? Or,
I hope not.
Is
Oh,
that your
like,
plan,
oh,
well,
yeah.
is that the plan?
that's the,
sign the plan.
that's the stamped as, John.
So we need to sign it,
Wanda,
that's
you
gonna
sign
be
that
part of
plan.
the,
That's the signed as, that's not the proposed plan, that's the as.
Okay.
We need to sign the proposed plan for the NOI.
It's good
right?
enough.
We're still gonna need that,
Okay.
you can sign
good
this
enough.
one
It's
for
done.
him.
Yeah.
So you don't, you'll just need the letter in 21 days.
Within 21 days.
Within.
You can send the
Oh, no,
letter.
after,
Well-
She can send a letter,
She
but
can
send a letter.
process is,
Yeah,
we
but it
can't
can't-
sign off.
Right.
there's a whole
yeah,
process
you
to
can't
this,
sign
right?
off till after 21 days.
Okay, so you can't sign it the next meeting, you'll have to sign it the meeting after that, cause the next meeting is in 14 days.
He doesn't understand this
Yes.
process, the
Is that
normal
correct?
process.
But is that correct?
So
Yes,
you get a
yes.
note-
You need 21 days.
Okay, so.
We
next-
cannot sign it
So
into,
you will sign it, not next meeting, the meeting after.
and actually it'll be the meeting after, because then we have a 3-week break, so it'll be November
November second.
6th.
meeting?
6th, something like that.
November 20th, November 6th. 16/6, so.
Sorry, Tracy.
I know it shrunk an inch, but you should still be able
And
to
in the
see me.
meantime, who do I send my resume to?
Wanda, you can email
Send it by
it.
email
Okay.
if you want.
Do you want like a work resume or like a full
No.
resume? No.
List of
Qualifications.
qualifications.
I sent mine in
I
pictures.
might, yeah.
Do you need
Um,
my card?
Sure. I will take it. Thank you.
Wanda, here's the signed plan for that one.
Yeah.
All right. We've now entered conservation time. 7:20
Have a good night.
is 26 Mallard Way.
Thank you for patiently waiting back there.
I'm patiently waiting.
Good evening, my name is Karen Keegan, I'm from Guaranteed
Looks
Building.
like we gotta read it in. I'm sorry.
that's right.
Yeah. We're just waiting on some paperwork.
Yep. I'll give you guys these.
Excellent. Thank you.
Let's get our own plan.
She doesn't wanna be here all night, so she gave us all plans. Good move.
Number Mallard is this?
This is the one with the two houses on
Yep.
the same lot.
Yep, I actually looked to buy that property before I bought my house. It was a beautiful piece of property.
Wanda.
Where we had issues of them putting a trench that wasn't supposed to be there and
Cutting
everything.
trees down and doing all kinds of
Yep.
stuff, and that wasn't that long ago, how did that,
No.
we end all that?
We closed it out. That was part of closing the COC, yeah.
Wanda, do you have the
Wanda, do you
form
have
for
the-
Andy to read?
Now they wanna put the proposed garage where they cut the trees down.
Wait a minute, what plan?
Wanda, Andy needs to read in.
26.
Didn't I just give it to you?
You look surprised.
I did, I'm
They were in
surprised.
front of us, they did all kinds of crazy things, no, it wasn't
I'm
that
very
bad. It
surprised.
wasn't that bad.
Well, there was some,
They had just come in front of us, so.
there was
we
some
would've
issues,
forward, you know,
there was
like
some
we-
issues before you showed up here too, so
Yep.
there's been some ongoing things. The clipboard,
What do you look?
Just a clipboard.
She has to, we have to read in 26 'cause it's a new.
Find it. Can you wait a minute and I'll go print it out again? I don't know what happened to it. It was here and then it isn't. Give
Okay, while we're doing that, I have something I could bring up.
Okay.
I had people telling me that 654 Central Turnpike, that was the Du Bois property, and then it's been sold twice since. And we had sent out a letter saying they needed to file for certificate of compliance, and then it just got sold again. That's the one I was talking about, that,
I can't believe the lawyers let that go.
yeah. But it's right on part of the Mumford River that comes down right there in West Sutton and back. And so I've had two people tell me that he's posting on Facebook that he's gonna, make it into a swimming area in the back and all that. So he obviously does not understand.
Oh, that's the yellow house.
Yeah, the yellow house, and cutting trails and stuff, so he obviously does not understand anything about the Wetlands Protection Act, so, it's a situation where ignorance, but I don't know whether we should send him a letter saying that, they're in the 200-foot jurisdiction and they can't do all this, or something, but I had two people telling me all the stuff they were putting on Facebook.
The banks, they want a clean title.
Yeah,
That
right.
shows up on the lawyers, they don't, I mean,
But a lot of the banks seem like they're letting it go lately.
they've been really strict with them, so they're letting,
Well, we've kinda had a couple that.
yeah, they're letting it go. It's
So,
different banks, different
what do you
things.
think we should do, Joyce? Do you wanna send them a letter and say that they still have an open order?
Yeah.
And we can talk about that while he's in here?
I think they may have called Wanda, previously, but anyway, yeah, they need to understand about the Wetlands Protection Act, and that they are now responsible for getting the certificate of compliance for that septic system that was done 3 or 4 years ago.
So I would hope that's what their attorneys did. That's what an attorney's job is to make them aware of that property.
And I don't
Now,
know,
question, do we even know that it's been recorded on the deed? We're making an assumption.
Yeah, right, I don't know.
the order of conditions?
Yeah.
Of course it has, yeah. Brandon and I went out and did a pre-construction meeting there, and that was, their order may have expired, but we were out
Well,
there
if
in the
it's getting
past.
missed and closed on by 2 buyers,
So I just say we send them a letter and then we
Mike's
can.
got a point, they may not have made it to the registry
how long
of
ago
deeds.
was it, Brandon, how long?
I'm concentrating on getting
Oh.
26 Mile Way set up, so I've
Sorry.
only been half listening. What's the address?
654 Central Turnpike. It was Du Bois that put in the septic system before they moved, then it was sold, those
Yep.
people were there 2 or 3 years, and now they've just sold it again.
Things
Would
through the
you send
cracks.
them a letter, Joyce, or have Wanda do it, and we'll get them in here on that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna, this is 7:20 PM Conservation Time. The Sutton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019, at 7:20 PM at Sutton Town Hall, 4 Uxbridge Road, Sutton, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to review a notice of intent submitted to the Conservation Commission by John Murray, Collinsville, Connecticut. The project consists of adding a garage, breezeway, well, and deck to an existing single-family dwelling on map 15, parcel 66, 132, and 140 at 26 Mallard Way, Sutton, Mass. This notice is publicized in accordance with the provisions of General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, commonly known as the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. We do not have a DEP number on this yet? We got the abutters, we have the fees. Do we have the A&M on this, Brandon?
We do not.
Okay.
We have a narrative, we don't have an A&M.
I think I sent it out today.
Do we have your resume on file?
I've been coming here since 1998.
Do we have it on file?
I don't know if you do or not, I don't think so,
Okay.
but I
If-
can give you one.
If we don't, if you wouldn't mind just giving us one. Do you have any applications on this? Was there any setback issues, planning, zoning?
I will be filing with zoning.
Okay, you
I'm
will be
waiting for a
filing with
denial
zoning.
letter right now.
Okay, so you will be. So I'm gonna put
There's
pending.
no setback issues, it's the 2 houses on 1 lot.
Yeah, I gotcha, yeah, right. It was like that when I looked at it. Nothing with planning or board of
ZBA.
health. Yeah, ZBA appeal, yep.
Shari's been there.
No.
No, it's because she's going to. It's pending. She's going to be. All right.
Did you look in? Oh, okay, I see it. I was just looking for the address on the plan.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Karen Keegan, I'm from Guaranteed Builders. I'm here to represent John Murray today. You know that there is an existing house on the lot, been there for quite a few years. He's looking to add a 38 by 28 garage, I think it is, 29-foot garage, with an attached breezeway and a 4.5-foot wraparound deck. He's also putting an addition off this side of his house here, I think he's raising the roof and changing the roof line of some sort to the house. He's putting in a brand new well, and I think he's going to keep this one, and I believe it's a dug well. The proposed siltation and straw water line I have here, and I also have it in pink on your plan. It goes from the back of the proposed garage, wraps around the front of the house, and it wraps around the proposed well with a slurry pit inside of the proposed well area. I have a stockpile area up above where the garage is going to go, and again, I also have straw wattles and siltation fence up there. It's a lawn area that he's disturbing. The deck will have sonotubes that will disturb the lawn area there. This proposed well is in a lawn area, and again, the addition is too, I believe, or it's at least in its landscaping area. The edge of the wetlands is Lake Singletary. It is a mortise and stone wall, and that would be also the edge of the wetlands. His 100-foot buffer is in the red line, as you can see on your plan, and he's also within the Great Pond at 200 feet, which is above here. He's adding a little bit of gravel to the garage right here, but other than that, the gravel driveway will stay as such. Most of the work that he's doing is within the lawn area. Do you have any questions?
Joyce?
I was out there when they dug a well not too long ago. It looks like the same location.
No, that well is right there.
And where's the new well?
Right there.
Closer to the house.
Yeah, so there was,
This one's for this house, and he wants a new one for this house.
there you go. So that's where they dug the well, I'm gonna say 2 or 3 years ago.
The existing well, the old well, yeah.
Right there.
That one. So there's gonna be a well for each house?
Yes. Well, right now there's a well for each house. He just has a hand dug well over here, or some sort of a shallower well.
Okay. Anybody else from the board have anything?
Oh, so, these aren't my policies, but the deck's 20 feet from the lake.
Yep.
And we've been enforcing 25. I see no stormwater management.
Yep.
0. It's a pretty big project. This is a pretty big project on a existing non-conforming lot. It's all within the 200 feet. Never mind the 200, it's all within the 100 feet, right?
Most of
Good
it, yeah.
portion of it, yeah. It's a flat area that he's working within, very flat area.
I thought they just made big
This doesn't
changes.
come close to, so you go through our bylaws? Cause this plan doesn't come close to meeting to a lot of the requirements.
Such as,
Stormwater management, setbacks to the lake, we can, sure Brandon's, he's going to town over there, so I won't say anymore.
Those are two things that popped out to me right away too. What, I'd like to bring your attention back to the plan that was approved for the second house in 2014, which I have up on the screen. And one thing that kind of bugs me about this is the tree line
Proposed deck.
on the, this was a North Arrow, be the south side of the house. Andrew showed the tree line almost right up to where the septic tank and the, was that distribution box or the pump chamber?
pump chamber.
So we got tree line coming right up into here, and according to Ms. Keegan, the proposed garage is gonna be in lawn area, and the garage is well to the south of the, the septic tank and pump chamber, over in this area where according to 2014, this was the tree line. And it's all within, you know, the 200-foot Great Pond, but also within the 100-foot wetland buffer anyway. So that's one of the things that kind of gets me about this project, is every time I go there, there's always something different that wasn't there the last time. So I just want to point that out. There's also a utility pole shown here, utility pole number 6. Is that still there? Is that gonna have to be moved? What's that for?
You're on the,
Utility pole is still there. It is the utility pole for his house,
yeah, you're on the other house.
or for both houses. And it is still there in the lawn area.
In the lawn, okay. All right, so that's a good reference point. So that's, the house is gonna be closer to the water than that pole number 6, so it's in this area that in 5 years ago was in the wood line. Yeah,
No longer in the wood line.
right. I wanna know, every time I've gone there, that seems like that wood line has kinda creeped back more and more without anybody seeming to know about it.
Joyce?
They also had done renovations to the house, if I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, and changed something on the house on a previous filing. Also on this plan, it doesn't show where they had a place where the boats went in next to the other neighbors. It doesn't show that here. And we had issues after that with some things in there that they needed to replant, and, cause they had cut down trees and stuff there. And I think
Well,
they're.
they did their replanting for the trees they cut down.
We closed that out, I think.
Yeah,
You
but
did, and
but that doesn't show on here, but, you
Right.
know, any of the topography here.
so one thing I'd like to see on this plan is where the current wood line is.
Okay.
And
And
also
like,
I know-
any proposed, you say it's gonna be completely in lawn? Well,
Yeah.
just put it this way, if it's gonna be going into the woods at all, show proposed wood line as well.
Okay.
And I know Josh is going to say this, but we want the 100% biodegradable straw wattles because it doesn't specify that, I think.
No, it does not.
12-inch. No mesh. Something else I just thought of and it went away.
So the deck, the runoff, all the impermeable surfaces.
Okay.
You have to find a way to meet and recharge all that into the ground.
Let me do a little exercise here too. This is a 2013 photo. And wood line looks like it's something like this. And I remember coming here and seeing some trees taken down over in this area. I think they might have had an answer for that. I don't remember what it was, but I don't know, if it keeps on creeping back this way, that's kind of problematic.
I think there was a lot of laurel bushes and stuff between the house and the water, and there was another little jog in, and all of that stuff I think has disappeared too.
Speaking for myself, I'm probably gonna be looking for some mitigation for the, even the prior tree removal.
Well, under our bylaw, when you work within 200 feet, mitigation can be a requirement of the board, especially on a disturbance of this large.
What
So they have a lot of open area to the right. There's lots of room for plantings and trees and to put back some of the forest that's disappeared that we all have witnessed over the years.
Okay.
There's been a lot of projects here. You're just getting the brunt of a
I'm
lot of
getting
stuff.
the brunt of it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, no,
but we gotta
no,
follow
I-
the rules. It's just,
I-
we're not
I'm
making it,
okay
no,
with that.
yeah.
I'm okay
You've
with
just
that.
jogged my memory, there was supposed to be plantings along the water. They put in some sort of path, and there was supposed to be plantings along the water, if
think
I
there
remember
is
Just my
correct.
opinion,
I think
under
there
our
is.
bylaw, we have the jurisdiction to require
Right.
some extensive planting and trees and mitigation for this proposed garage, and not so much the deck, I mean, that's not as bad as additions that have roof and runoff, and I think it would make the board to feel a lot better if you gave back a little bit of the forest that's disappeared, I think that's what we're getting at.
Yeah, I
So
get
the better
that.
the plan you come with, of the plantings and the bushes and the trees, I think that would go a long way.
Just so you don't have to come back 3 times, what is our position on this deck that's only 20.5 feet away from the high water mark? Are we gonna set a new standard here, or are we gonna?
I think it's hard to understand this whole project. Is it excessive? I see a lot of deck going around this house. So I wouldn't be opposed to being in that 25 feet, say, if it was, I could use a job that comes to mind. It was a very small home. It had really no deck to begin with, and they wanted to, and we didn't allow them to. So, and that was recent. So, I mean,
If we're gonna enforce it, we ought to enforce it for
I
everybody.
think it should be case by case, and when I look at this plan opposed to the other one that I was, this one I don't understand all the decks, and I know on a lake it would be nice to go across the front, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna be the end all be all at a quick glance. I know it might be nice, but you're encroaching closer than 25 feet, and even the state recognizes that as kinda like anything closer than 25 feet, and that's why we took that stance.
We held a hard line for the police station
police
too, for
station.
25 feet. I have a question,
So if you wanna keep that deck, I think we need more of an explanation is how I would like to leave it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just say no, cause I like to look at it case by case, but it appears you have a lot of deck, a lot of disturbance. Maybe you could find a way to not have the deck on the front, and then it would help us to be consistent.
Joyce?
I have a question about, it says he's from Connecticut on the notice of intent, because they moved from Connecticut here, and I was under the assumption that their legal address would have been 6 Maryland Way.
Are they living full-time
I
in
know
Maryland?
the brother and his wife live in the house, the new house.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he lives, if John lives in
Yeah, I don't know that
26
either.
Mallard Way. I don't know if it's insulated for winter use. You know what I mean?
I think before they had both their names on the plan. Is the deed in one person's name now instead of 2?
No, I think it's in all 3,
In all 3?
yes. That's, all 3 have signed the NOI.
So,
The certificate of
And
compliance
drainage.
was issued to Alan Murray.
That was for the house, wasn't
The
it?
applicant was Alan Murray, the owner was John Murray.
Ownership now says John Allen and
Diane.
Okay.
I know there was some changes that you must have in pictures of the way the house looked the last time.
I have quite an extensive
I know.
picture diary on this. Let's see, what I just do with it.
While Brandon's looking that up, is there any other major issues that our board sees?
Big project.
I mean, we could,
What if I told you he wanted to do this in pieces and not all at the same time? Would that make you feel a little better?
3
No.
years.
No?
Yeah, I don't think that would change anything.
it'll make it harder because we want you to show the whole project. We would
Right.
probably more apt to scrutinize it doing it that way. I think it's better to be transparent of the whole project. I do.
Well,
Would be
it's
more
kind of
apt.
been that way in the past, that this is what, the 4th filing in like 4
Well,
years?
I also think it kind of bothers me when someone comes in with, not you, but something, and it was, 3 years ago it was wooded, and now it's not, and it's not like it was one tree taken down, and it just makes you look extra close at.
He had been on front of the board, had filed, knew all the laws, knew that he was in the jurisdiction, and that's what they're talking about, just so you know. To us, it was blatant that he took more trees down, and I don't know how we found out about it. I think we went to do the certificate of compliance.
Oh, we went to a
Yeah,
neighbor's
but
property.
Or neighbor's property.
these were the pictures taken for the certificate of compliance, which is on December 17, 2018. But
So
the
that's less than a
commission,
year
So
ago.
basically, that's where he's gonna be putting his garage, is right in
Right, where he
there.
cleared all the
That's
trees without
existing
coming to
deck,
see
yeah.
us.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what
that was
yeah,
all
so
wooded.
that- Like he clear cut it.
that was it. He cut down all those trees, and I forget what the reason was. I think he had some
Well,
kind of
now we know.
rationale.
The reason was for the garage.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, well,
can you go back to
Give us some
the
trees,
first
we'll
time
leave
when
it
they
at
bought
that,
the
it's pretty
house?
easy to
Yeah.
get through.
And then they dug
And they
the
like them
trench?
close to the water.
As long as they're willing to work with mitigation on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ideally
I
is
think
what
that was
it
a
is.
good-
Yeah,
yep,
that's-
well
So,
said.
so yeah, it's,
I
it's,
don't
it's all
think that's
cleared
a
out,
major-
and you know what, seeing these pictures, the certificate of compliance was issued despite that being done.
Mhm.
So I get a feeling they cleared for it.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, it was very
You
frustrating.
gotta plan for the future, Brandon.
So when you talk to them, say, hey, how many trees do you think you cut down? And that
Alright.
would be a good mitigation start.
Is there anything else on this, or do you, we all set to continue this? Brandon, you have anything else on this?
I don't. Just to recap, I heard a bunch of comments, need stormwater management, so basically, the roof leaders either go into drip edge, a push stone drip edge, or some kind of like Caltech unit.
Just a question on that. Do we need a Caltech unit or will a simple
A simple dry well will do, yes.
that daylights
If,
eventually?
if you have decent,
Just, I know that those Caltechs are very expensive. I didn't realize how expensive they were.
What, those little plastic? No, these are not expensive at all.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
These little let the engineer, cause there's,
Yeah,
we,
they're also shallower than.
Okay,
yeah,
all
like
right.
it's,
I know
it's
that the-
really.
I know the
both
ones that I
these-
looked at for my building was
Especially
super
something
expensive.
narrow like
Yeah,
Okay.
commercial is way different,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
that's a whole
All
different
right,
thing than what we're
okay,
doing here.
that's what I was talking about.
We're
That's
just
what-
doing simple little, yes,
Okay.
you understand what we want, just
Okay.
something
So
simple.
rooftop infiltration for any new roofs.
Yeah.
We need an avoidance and minimization statement. Wanda, I can send it to you,
I
It-
sent one, I believe, I might have sent one in one of the emails. Did I
I have
return?
your email right in the application.
Okay.
I can send that to you.
Okay, that'd be nice.
Yep. Show 100% biodegradable wattles, 12 inches
Yep.
diameter. Alright. Show the existing and any proposed wood line.
Yep.
And then we got into the issue of, Mr. McGovern being uncomfortable with, the deck on the lake side within 25 feet. Not that you can't have a deck, but that section in the front is a little close, am I right?
Mhm.
Correct.
Okay. And, the issue of mitigation, that there was areas on the north side of the property that could be used for plantings.
I'm just gonna write on this, issue C, Brandon.
I'm wondering if the plantings are still there from along the pathway. You know,
Alright.
you'll be going out and doing
What's the,
pictures and stuff
There's
anyway.
no DEP number, so it has to be continued.
what's the date and time we're continuing to, Wanda?
So October 16th at 7:50.
Make a motion to,
7:50.
make a motion to continue to October 16th at 7:50.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who did the second on that? I'm getting mixed voices here.
I think it was Mike seconded, right?
Yeah, I have one more thing to talk about.
Okay.
On the corner of Lincoln Road across from, Dodge Hill, they tore down the Lincoln House, and there's the big sign there saying, will build to suit, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, they had a forestry plan there about last year.
Yeah.
A good year ago.
It's just a cutting
year or
now,
two, yeah.
they're not in chapter land, I found that out today.
Yeah, but they had the forestry plan. And so, I guess there'd been some issues of people, complaining that it had been clear cut, and I know I went down there, Mike went down there and looked. But, Brandon had discussed a meeting or two ago about the fact that there should be a time limit after they cut the forest down before you can build houses.
Yeah, so I had a hand in writing the most recent forest cutting handbook, and I was on the board for the MACC. And I know Jen Fish, who is the head of the forestry, the forestry program. And they get very annoyed when they see that someone comes in with a forest cutting plan, but it's really just a preparation for a development, when the purpose of forest cutting plan is, it's an agricultural exemption. So the wording is that the land has to be presently and primarily used for forest cutting practices, not to prepare for development. There's no hard and fast rule, but the forestry department likes to see at least 2 years go by. If not, they can take action, and they will.
Is that out of, that's out of our jurisdiction?
Well, this is what happened. I called Jennifer Fish, and she said that since it's changed hands, that may make a difference because you can't really enforce it because it's changed hands. But the fact that the forestry plan has not been closed out. So I also talked to Guy LaChance, and he called me back this morning. And he went out there after we had our previous conversation, and he contacted the logger, and he said he has 3 items on the plan that need to be finished before he can sign off on what we would consider a certificate of compliance. I don't know what they talk.
Junk equipment that was left out of it.
And so, their forestry plan does not expire until the end of January 2020. So until that happens and the plan gets signed off on, these people cannot advertise the fact that they've got lots, and they've
Well-
not gone to planning board either, so
Well,
they
can
can't
probably
really go to,
advertise it, but they can't act on it,
they
right?
can't really go to planning board until after this other issue is settled.
And
So I don't
so
wanna
we're-
see what happened up in 8 lots, that people buy lots and then can't do anything with them.
So just to as people know, it's in kind of very close to my area. I know multiple people I know personally looked at buying the property and walked away because it's that
So
wet.
Yes.
I spoke to a local engineer who comes in here, who commented too, and he asked if the house coming down was within our jurisdiction. I took a walk, didn't go on the property, but I walked down Lincoln Road, pacing it off. I don't think it is. And then someone did reach out to Marty Green, the property owner, and he's also a realtor, that says his goal is to put a few houses in modular homes, and then he's working on an engineering plan. So I will keep an eye on it. But Brandon, are you able to tell us how much wetland is there by your little screen here?
I can,
'Cause it's wet.
The
Lincoln Road washes out.
The
Yeah,
first
okay.
forestry done was not quite done correctly, and Brandon did find more.
Yeah, well, the forestry was done, it was gonna be done through the Trentons, they both passed away.
Right.
I think the family or someone did it, it became bank owned,
alright, let's just put it this way. Well, first thing I wanna say is that with a forest cutting plan, the owner of the land is not required to go to the Conservation Commission for any permits. It's an agricultural exemption, with the idea that conservation can be expensive, and the margin on forest cutting is pretty slim, so they don't wanna make people have to go through that expense. At the same time, you have people marking out the wetlands that don't necessarily have wetland delineation experience. My experience with that is that the people doing the marking of the wetlands they show that on where the wetlands are in that little sketch, they're usually not accurate. And I've seen many times, 188 and 199, 199 Mendon Road being the most recent one I saw, extensive forestry in wetland areas. I have a feeling this one's probably gonna be no different. It looks to me like the wetland areas are pretty extensive here. And that's what you're seeing on the screen is the, just the DEP overlay. And, it might even be even bigger than that.
So I guess my point is, I don't wanna see anybody buy something that, you know, they're not gonna be able to use, and we need to keep an eye on this, and maybe tell that realtor that, you know, there are some potential issues here that
well,
they'll
my
have to.
understanding is right now nothing's been broken off and it's one lot, so he could sell it as one lot just the way he bought it. But you're absolutely right, and the thing is, I think he needs to be treated just like everybody else to go through the process, because again, a lot of people I know personally walked away from it because they said it's so wet that they didn't wanna get involved.
And it was pretty tragic that the house got torn down because it was a 1730s house and a very historic house. Central Turnpike was a toll road, and the toll part, the horses with the stagecoaches or whatever pulled in there, and that's where they paid their thing, and there was a toll gate in the back and everything too, so.
That originally was my family's, it was the bachelor house, and the bachelors married Stockwell, and that's how the Stockwell farm started, and, the house had 6 fireplaces. And
I saw the chimney.
It-
yeah.
I had never been in since I was a little kid, and I'll tell you, I believe it was too far gone part of post Beatles, but it would have been a showplace if it was restored. I mean, it was absolutely a beautiful gem, but they did reclaim a lot of the wood. Company's been pulling the beams out and the boards that are this wide, so things change, I guess, right?
So,
Better for
I
worse.
wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it because
All right.
Anything else tonight?
Yeah, one thing, on my end. I've been getting emails from, Michael Gordon's, paralegal about the certificate of compliance that was issued for the Blackstone National Golf Course. This was, the certificate of compliance was issued for the amendment that was issued in 2015. All right, so the original order of conditions, this is for the withdrawal from the Beaver Bog. It was issued in 2012, it was amended in 2015. The commission rightly issued a certificate of compliance recently for the amendment, all right? Which should cover all of it because the amendment supersedes the original. The paralegal that's contacting me is asking for a separate certificate of compliance for the original. I keep on telling the paralegal it's unnecessary, but she keeps on pushing the issue.
I have both copies here if you wanna sign them. I printed out the other stuff.
Is there a
to mail
different
out.
address or a deed?
There's no
number?
different, there's no different address, it's all under the same DP number. I told her to go and use use it for the original. And I did a little more peeking into this, and I can see her point now. Because on the certificate of compliance, there is a spot for the book and page number. And it's the book and page for the amendment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there's a lawyer who's being extremely picky that wants to close out a portion of the OC with the original book and page number. It's clouding the deed, I guess. It really shouldn't, but it's clouding the deed.
So if you wanna.
I personally
sign-
don't see a problem issuing a COC with the original book and page number on it. It's of no consequence, and I don't have to listen to this person anymore.
Okay. Is the book and page number written on this?
Write it? No, they're the same. Here's the numbers that are here, everything else is underneath here,
I
1
just-
and 2.
I just wanna make sure that we get it correct,
I
right?
will put them together,
Okay.
right, yeah.
All right. I have no problem with that. Does anybody on the
To
board?
make a motion?
make a
'Cause they're the
motion,
same thing.
issue a certificate of compliance for Blackstone National. Do we have a
The
DP
original
number?
and the amended?
The original and the amendment,
3030747.
DP 3030747.
I would cite the book and page number, just to be clear which one it's for.
The original, order of conditions is book 51318, page 188. And then 61023, page 1.
And then there's a third one.
That's
Oh, yeah,
the
okay,
amendment. Those are the two old ones, yeah.
amendments.
So we'll get it all together, and
Cleaned
then
up.
there's no
Alright.
question.
We could take a second on that.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's on the edge of a piece of paper. Just put it-
Good call, Brandon.
Yeah, you know, and I'd rather see these attorneys and property owners get it closed out, whatever it takes, than have this stuff drag on for years and years.
Again, it's,
I didn't even know there were 3.
Wait, there's 2 to sign here.
Oh.
Oh,
That he had sent them in.
mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was 3. I sent her the other, and you signed the other one at the last meeting, and then she sent back all the information.
Oh. Did we want to make a motion to formally withdraw
Yes.
Article 10? Can somebody make a motion for that,
Make a
please?
motion to formally withdraw Article 10 from the fall warrant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Oh, and I did watch the last special meeting too.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
Oh, you need to fill out
Just fill out the form.
Yeah.
paper form.
I know that,
And
I
I
just
think
thought I would
now we
mention
would
it.
like to see a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn?
Oh. Oh, yep, let's go over this real quick.
The what?
So I was watching, I'm trying to catch up on all my town politics, and I was watching the,
Finance?
was it FinCom or Selectmen?
FinCom.
I was watching the FinCom meeting after I went in or before I went in, and according to the town manager, we do not have the funding to repair the dam at Woodburyville Pond. So if anybody else calls on that, Wanda, and we can tell the cable department that too, because they're getting some emails on it, they have to speak with the town manager on the progress of that.
They did have a meeting with,
What did you say, we don't have the funding?
Woodburyville Pond,
damn,
yep, Brandon watched the meeting as well, there's a funding question.
they did have a meeting with Pat Doherty and that group a week ago Thursday, I think.
Yeah,
So-
and they stated that Galaxy does not, they wanted to gift Galaxy the dam, and Galaxy does not want it. So that's where it's at.
So the gate will not be getting repaired.
It's almost down to a stream.
So here's a, can any of our conservation money, I don't wanna start a debate, we're just wondering, can any of our money be used for that? Like that $80,000?
No, that's only for buying land.
That's for buying land, yeah.
Yeah, that's only for buying land, you can't use it for that.
But the
I mean,
one,
is it better off that it goes back to a stream?
I'm just
Well,
asking.
Rick
just did
it makes Glenn happier.
There's arguments to be made on both sides, Mike. There's always two different people.
So the take that I got for it is, yes, it would be better as a cold water fishery, as just a
It
stream.
releases warm water
But the
into
problem
stream.
is the low-level outlet on the other side of Boston Road is too high for the trout to jump up. So it's still a dam even if it's empty.
Yep.
It's not any better being empty at the low-level outlet than it is going through those 4 or 5 big pipes.
Right, and the point that I made in a communication with Andy was that I have a feeling that the Massachusetts Office of Ecological Restoration that has been funding dam removals throughout the state would probably have a keen interest, because that's what they're doing. They're getting tons of money for dam removal. So that might be an option, but at the same time,
We weren't notified of this financial situation, so I think it's kind of
yeah,
out of our hands right now.
right, even.
What are you
if-
saying, you could make it to the point where the fish could,
Yeah, you could. The
Right, right.
ecological restoration program has been funding dam removals everywhere. It's like their thing right now. But the problem is that you'd have to build a bridge
right,
over that.
right.
And who's gonna pay for that?
Right, so I was under the last, when we had Matt Stencil come in and Pat Doherty, I thought we were close, we were making strides, we had a weekly countdown, and now it's kinda kaput, so.
Yeah, I'm shocked when I went by there the other day.
Yeah, so I don't, we know nothing, it's out of our hands, if anybody calls, you're gonna have to speak
I'll
to
refer
the
them.
town manager's office, cause I don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's a big project now that I've been down there and watched, the water's coming out of the whole thing's failing. What's gonna happen is if that goes back to holding water, it's more than just one gate, it'll be the issue down the road. And it'll be a bridge someday, or they'll repair the dam, cause it's more than a little wooden gate.
Oh, yeah.
The wooden gate started,
There's an old school,
something underneath all
big
that.
giant stone dam there.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
that-
a lot going on there.
Again, historically, the Oz House was across the street and the mill was across the street. And they had 277 customers that they supplied ice to, and they would float it under the bridge into the ice house. So my feeling is that thing that failed was a sluiceway to get the blocks of ice under the road.
Could be.
And they block
It's
it off.
square, it very well could be, I stuck my head in it.
Oh, you can see it now, you can see that whole.
Yeah, I went there the day that they sandbagged it to get the measurements on the actual, low-level outlet
Yeah.
plug, and, it's a square poured concrete
channel underneath it.
channel underneath the whole thing. So the theory behind it is if we were gonna have a 100-year flood, they could reach over with a backhoe and pull the wooden gate out and let it go at a controlled rate. But
I think I have pictures from
There it is,
when,
There it
very
is.
interesting.
I have pictures from when the whole thing went out in the thirties from
Yeah.
my aunt's house.
there it is right there.
Well,
That's where it comes out on the dam side.
And the drop was just too much. And Glenn was very, very concerned about turning this back into a complete cold water fishery, but that drop is just, I mean, he was worried about the 3 foot 1 inch at Armsby Road. This is 10, 12, 15.
Fish ladder.
Yeah, maybe one powered with a Briggs and Stratton, cause I don't know, you know, I don't,
This is what it looked on in the
Hay
middle of
trolley.
August.
yeah, it's less than that now too.
It'll go up.
It almost looks like a stream when I went by there the other day, 'cause it's raining out now, so.
so if everybody on, that end of Boston Road is watching this, we do not have any answers.
And it's really also, kind of an act of God situation, an act of nature. So there's no harm, no foul. And this, there's no one to blame,
Right.
just is what it is.
I think the people were bothered with the fish kill that did occur there, but that was a stocked pond, I've been told by a rod and gun club that was there.
Bill the Grafton, Rod and Gun Club,
Yeah.
one time, that's now defunct.
They had their own little
Yeah,
pond in
it
the
was-
back,
it
not
was
that
South
one.
Grafton's.
I think they stocked that one too, I was told
Yeah.
they fished that one, yeah.
Yeah, Gerard Pond they used to stock.
Yeah, it was South Grafton Sportsman Club.
In Sutton.
In Sutton.
In Sutton, I still have one of
Well,
the
they were
pins.
in Auburn too at one time.
Well, they were down,
They were down on Providence Road too.
Providence Road too, yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.